What if everything you depend on, every sunrise, every season, every coastline you have ever known, all of it was held in place by one single, invisible force? A force so steady, so utterly constant, that you have never once felt it, even though it has never paused, not for a single second in your entire life. What if the Earth suddenly stopped spinning? No warning, no countdown, no asteroid, no explosion, no cosmic accident to blame. One moment the planet is turning beneath your feet exactly as it always has, and the very next, it simply isn't. Everything that quietly kept us alive without us ever noticing it was there just stops. For most of us, this sounds like pure science fiction, a thought experiment, a disaster movie, a what if you never have to take seriously. But the physics behind what would happen next is brutally real and surprisingly well understood. Scientists can model it almost minute by minute, and what those models reveal would unfold faster and far more violently than almost anyone imagines. Over the next few minutes, we are going to walk through exactly what would happen to our planet, to our oceans, to our atmosphere, and to every single person standing on the surface. We will start with the very first second, when the ground itself betrays us. Then the first hour, when the seas rise up and march inland. And finally, the years that follow, as Earth becomes a world we would no longer recognize. Second by second, step by step. Right now, at this exact moment, the equator is racing through space at over 1,000 miles per hour. That is faster than a passenger jet at cruising altitude. You are being flung around the center of the Earth constantly, ceaselessly, and yet you don't feel even the faintest breeze. So why is it that this enormous, invisible speed has never once touched you? You don't feel it because everything around you is moving with you. The ground, the air, the buildings, the oceans, even the clouds drifting overhead. It is all one enormous system, locked together, turning as a single seamless piece. That is why the motion stays completely invisible. But the instant that system stops, you don't. Your body keeps every last bit of that speed, with nothing left to carry it but open air. Every loose object on the surface, every car, every tree, every person, every single drop of water, would keep moving east at over 1,000 miles per hour. The ground stops. You do not. In a single second, the entire human world is torn sideways and turned into a storm of supersonic debris. There would be no time to brace, no time to run, no time to even understand what was happening before it was already over. And then comes the wind. The atmosphere keeps moving too, so the air itself becomes a solid wall. A gust that would dwarf every hurricane ever recorded, screaming across the land at the speed of sound, loaded with shredded concrete, steel, and glass. Entire skylines would be sandblasted down to their foundations. Whole cities, whole regions, erased. Not over weeks, not over days, in a matter of minutes. The oceans don't stop either. The instant the planet halts, every sea on Earth keeps moving, east, at jetliner speed. The water rears up into walls hundreds of meters tall and races across the land, swallowing beaches, then cities, then entire coastlines. Continents that took millions of years to take shape would be redrawn in a single afternoon. Within an hour, the shorelines we have built our entire world around are simply gone. Once that first wave of violence settles, the planet itself begins to change shape. Earth is not a perfect sphere. Because it spins, it bulges outward at the equator, about 13 miles wider there than it is from pole to pole. Take that spin away, and gravity quietly goes to work, pulling all of that displaced rock and water back inward. Slowly, relentlessly, the planet begins to relax into an entirely new form, and the water has nowhere left to stay. Right now, the oceans are held out toward the equator by the spin itself. Without it, over weeks and months, all of that water begins to migrate toward the poles. Two enormous new oceans would form, one drowning the Arctic, one drowning the Antarctic, while a vast dry belt of exposed seafloor rises up around the middle of the planet, splitting our world into two separate, isolated halves. Now, the most disorienting change of all. If the Earth stops turning relative to the stars, then a single day-night cycle would stretch out to one full year. 6 months of unbroken scorching daylight on one side of the planet, and 6 months of frozen, absolute darkness on the other. The sun would no longer rise. It would no longer set. It would simply hang there in the sky, motionless, for half a year at a time. And the consequences would be merciless. The day side bakes without end. Surface temperatures would climb past 200 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to kill every exposed plant, every animal, and to boil away every lake and river. Meanwhile, the night side freezes solid, plunging below -200 degrees, cold enough to make the air itself turn heavy. Two halves of the very same planet, and neither one is survivable. And the atmosphere does not just sit quietly between them. Along the boundary where the burning side meets the frozen side, superheated and supercooled air would slam together without pause, day after day, year after year. The result would be the largest storm system in the planet's entire history, a permanent churning ring of hurricanes, lightning, and supersonic wind, thousands of miles long, wrapping all the way around the globe. A storm that would never, ever end. So could anyone actually survive this? If a few humans somehow lived through that first catastrophic hour, and very, very few of us would, the only refuge left would be deep underground, or buried in the narrow band of twilight between the two extremes. With stored food, with reliable power, with heavy radiation shielding, they might hold on for weeks, perhaps even months. But without all three of those things working together, not even days. And there is one final threat, one you cannot see at all. Earth's magnetic field is generated by molten iron churning deep inside the core, and our planet's rotation helps organize that motion, like a vast natural dynamo. Take the spin away, and over the following decades, that magnetic shield would weaken and grow chaotic. And once it fails, the sun's radiation reaches the surface unfiltered, and the atmosphere itself slowly begins to boil away into the emptiness of space. Within weeks, almost all life on Earth would already be gone. And within years, the planet itself would look completely alien from space. One half scorched a dead, dusty brown, the other locked beneath sheets of white ice, ringed by a deep ocean only at the poles, with a single dry scar circling the middle. From a distance, our pale blue marble would look less like the home we know, and more like a barren, broken cousin of Mercury. And here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. None of this is science fiction. The physics behind every single scene you just watched is real, tested, and well understood. The only thing standing between us and this exact future is one beautifully simple fact. Planets don't just stop. They can't. The law of angular momentum, the same law that keeps a spinning top upright, simply will not allow it to happen. So the next time you watch the sun climb over the horizon, or feel the wind move across your skin, or hear the ocean reach up the sand and slide back again, take just a moment. Remember that all of it, every ordinary, forgettable, beautiful thing, exists only because this planet is still turning, quietly, faithfully, underneath everything you do, every second of every day without ever once asking to be noticed. So I will leave you with this. If the Earth ever truly did stop, what do you think would be the worst part? The wind that ends it all in an instant? The endless, towering wave? Or the long, silent, frozen night that follows? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If this video stuck with you, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Because next time, we are answering an even bigger question.